Alrighty, guys. Let me know in the chat here if you guys can hear me okay. Let's pop out the chat while we're at it. We got Shannon, Brenda, Jackie, Robert, Leonard, Sue, Dawn, Jazz. What's up, guys? What is going on this beautiful Sunday, cold Sunday evening? We have a couple of things to go over here. I guess I'm going to pop myself back on the screen here. Give me a second to get through my slides here. We got a couple of things to go over today. There we go. What's up, guys? Current camera here is out of Kalamazoo. We're seeing the lake effect snow really start to ramp up this evening. Reports of very heavy lake effect banding going on across West Michigan, but also up in northern lower Michigan as well, up here in the Gaylord Petoskey area. In fact, we actually have one of our storm chaser friends from the Rogers City area who sent us this picture of a lake effect band off on Lake Huron there. And that is what lake effect bands really look like from a distance. Basically, just clear sky above you. A few miles in the distance, it's a bunch of clouds and a bunch of snow there. That's heavy, heavy snow up there. But either way, we do have all this lake effect going on across Michigan. We also have cold that is expected in the next couple of days as well. So let's go ahead and dive into the entire forecast package. I see Alex has joined us. Alex, you get to come in? You're behind the scene right now. Do you want to come in? I can't hear you. I want to go and bring you in.
Can you
There
hear
we
me?
go. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Cool. So we got Alex in here with us today, but we're just going to go ahead and go over a few slides of what to expect over the next couple of days. So starting with key information here, we're going to have lake effect snow ongoing for the next 3 or 4 days here. It's a 4-day event. I want to stress that because there's a lot of confusion here going on about what forecasts are valid for. You guys are seeing our forecasts, comparing it to forecasts that are valid for 1 or 2 days. So the forecast we put out a few days ago, which we'll get to here in a second, is valid until Wednesday. So it's a 4-day event. Number 2, winds are going to cause blowing snow and low visibility in spots. It's already happening out there today, tonight across West Michigan, as well as northern lower Michigan. Number 3, dangerous wind chills are expected for 72 straight hours. It begins right now and it continues through Wednesday. Number 4, take precautions for your both snow and cold. We'll get to that here in a second. So current advisories across the state, we have a plethora of winter weather advisories out there from basically the entire West Michigan shoreline there. 2 counties in, all the way up to Manistee. Then it goes Manistee, Benzie, Leelanau, Antrim, Charlevoix. You guys can read those off if you want to. They should be big enough there for you guys to read. But anyway, if you're in purple there, you're in a winter weather advisory for the next couple of days. Anywhere from 3 to 12, 15 inches of snow or higher is going to be possible over the next 3 or 4 days. In addition to the advisories, we do have cold weather alerts out there as well. For the first time ever, these are new alerts. We have a cold weather advisory in effect for pretty much the entire state, unless you're in that blue color up in the UP. That is our first ever extreme cold warning. All that does is replace the old wind chill advisory, wind chill watch, wind chill warning. Those advisories are now replaced with plain language advisory. So it's just going to be called cold weather advisory or extreme cold warnings or watches now. So if you're in the advisory, wind chills are going to be around the -10 to -30 range there off and on for the next 72 hours. If you're in the extreme cold warning, that means that you're going to be looking at wind chills as low as -45. Okay, that's very, very cold temperatures there. And those are for all the counties up there in blue, from Schoolcraft County all the way toward Gogebic, Ontonagon, and Houghton counties. Okay. Those are the current alerts as of 5:45 p.m. Now let's go ahead and move on to the expectations with snow. I have this still loaded in here from our video this morning from YouTube. We'll go ahead and go over it with you guys. First and foremost, the model. This is a 48-hour short-term model here. We call it the high resolution rapid refresh. It's one of the more accurate models for the lake effect snow events. We're seeing significant accumulations through Tuesday afternoon here for West Michigan, as well as parts of the western UP and the east central, or should I say east north central UP, or there toward Munising and Grand Marais, those areas. This model does show anywhere from right around 8 to 12 plus inches. You're seeing some spots close to 20. It's likely overdone. Models like to overdo things just a bit. So we do a forecast. We interpreted a lot of different data from different models. We come up with a forecast here that we put out yesterday. that is still valid today. It is a 7 to 15 forecast for most of West Michigan lakeshore areas. Up there in the red, though, 14 to 28 inches when all is said and done. Now, again, this is a 4-day event. I want to stress that. You may be seeing some maps that may be going out for tomorrow, not including Tuesday and Wednesday. This map does include all that snow up until that Wednesday time frame. So if you're up there just west of Gaylord or up there by Grand Marais, Newberry, even Munising areas, and then further west, Ontonagon, Houghton, Ironwood areas, you're getting 14 to 28 inches when all is said and done of snow. Further to the east, for you guys in East Michigan, we apologize once again, as this lake effect is not going to get to you guys efficiently. Now, we could see a couple inches of accumulation between the 96, 94 corridors, as there could be some pretty strong winds over the next couple of days that do carry these lake effect bands further inland. But overall accumulation will be quite light in comparison to those of you close to the Lake Michigan shoreline areas. 1 to 3 could be found all the way from basically just west of Alpena, Mayo, West Branch, all the way down toward Evart, Stanton, Ionia, over toward Ann Arbor and Adrian areas. Could be getting into that 1 to 3 range. Further to the west there in that 2 to 4 darker, we call it cornflower blue. That's the official name for it. It's going to be 2 to 4, very thin strip there. It's going to be a pretty sharp cutoff there as well. Then that darker blue, 3 to 8 inches. That could be places like Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. And then also 7 to 15 there with an isolated report of a higher amount, definitely possible for West Michigan there. As a result, we have a couple of things to go over here. Number one, our wind gusts. We talked about blowing snow. This could also blow some lake effect bands inward, but also gust up to 20, perhaps 30 miles per hour in spots from now until that Tuesday time, or should I say Wednesday time frame. This model image here shows roughly 20 mile an hour gust or so, a 25 max across much of lower Michigan. This is centered tomorrow at noon, 12 o'clock. So that just gives you an idea here. Winds will be kind of consistent for the next 3 or 4 days. No one place has a risk for higher wind gusts. It's pretty much standard across the state. Right around 20 mile an hour should be expected. That could cause blowing snow, low visibility conditions on the roads, et cetera, et cetera. Speaking of the roads, we do have a traffic forecast that was posted for today. I do think it applies pretty much to tomorrow as well. A similar story, maybe perhaps more red there in West Michigan as lake effect really gets ramping up tonight into tomorrow. But overall forecast for this should be much of the same. Lake effect prone areas, we would definitely expect the major impacts to be expected. Accidents, low visibility conditions. We've seen it all year long. Don't want to put it this way, but people do not know how to drive in snow. And as a result, we have to put the red on the map. We don't want to, but we see it time and time again with these events. We just want you guys to be prepared and hopefully kind of nail down some areas that have higher impacts than others. Also, going along with the traffic forecast, we do have impact arrows being worked on behind the scenes. I do have Western Michigan's done. This is for tomorrow. We do expect the higher impacts for travel to be centered around the commutes, both morning, afternoon, and evenings. So 6 to roughly 9 a.m. or so, we expect the higher impacts to be expected with more people on the roads. Then also with the rush hour afternoon 2 to roughly 8 p.m. or so, we're going to have another round of, we're going to say, impact travel. With that being said, it's going to be pretty steady snow throughout the day tomorrow, and then it's going to pick up just a tad closer to Monday evening. We're going to see a pickup in rates there roughly from about 4 to 8 p.m. in the evening time. So a little bit of a pickup there right around the rush hour commute as well. Now, secondary to the snow, we do have the wind chills. This is for kind of like right now, really. 7 p.m. tonight, we're seeing an overspread of below zero wind chills. We're already seeing as low as -15, -20 up in the UP. We're going to see those throughout the next couple of days here across much, if not all, of the state. We're going to be in negative wind chills, so below zero for the next 72 hours straight. Likely going to get out of that by about Wednesday or so, Wednesday, Thursday. So at least 3 days coming here of negative wind chills. How low, though? We're, like we said earlier, with the advisories and watches out and the warnings, anywhere from -10 to really -45, as much as -45 up there in the UP. But for the most of us watching here, if you're from like the southern lower Michigan area, where like, Flint, the center population areas, the big cities, we're going to be looking roughly -10 to -20 or so, as low as -25 here. The worst of this does appear to be Tuesday. So I'll go ahead and go to Monday first. Here's tomorrow at technically peak heating, 4 p.m. here. So the warmest part of the day, and we're only seeing -10 or so across much of the state. Again, Western UP is much lower. And then the worst of it comes in on Tuesday. We're seeing those temperatures as low as -45 up there in the west central part of the UP. And further south here toward that 96, Lansing, Flint, Detroit areas, we're seeing -25 or so on the model here. So, excuse me. Either way you look at it, next 3 days are going to be cold and going to be bitter. How do you guys prepare for that? We do have 9 tips we put together. If you guys want to read through these really quick, I'll go ahead and just kind of briefly get through these. Dress in layers. If you're outside, stay active, stay moving. That keeps your body warm. Don't overexert yourself. Try not to sweat because with these cold temperatures, you don't want to freeze or sweat on your skin. If you're at home, get your homes ready, get space heaters, blankets, stuff like that. If you do use space heaters, make sure that they are in a safe place away from things that could catch fire, like a tissue box or clothing, stuff like that. Number 4, check on your neighbors or other people with health issues. Watch over each other. Slide 2 here. Again, prepare your home, seal any drafts, ensure your furnace is properly running. And also make sure if you have a history of freezing pipes, I would definitely recommend dripping your pipes over the next couple of days here, as these temperatures would be concerning for some pipe bursts and stuff like that. So how to kind of prevent that? You can get heat tape from Lowe's. You can also get, or should I say, you can also open the cupboards if your pipes go underneath like a sinker or like a bathroom vanity, perhaps. Open your cupboards, expose your pipes to warmer air. That would also help. Number 6, emergency kit. Have one ready for both your home and your car. Things like a first aid kit, flashlight, food and water, especially consumables that do not need electricity in the event you lose power. Also, a good thing to have on hand would be hand warmers. You do worst case scenario, you get stuck on the road somewhere, and we're going to be dealing with -15, -20 wind chills. You don't want to have a, you don't want to. What I'm trying to say here, Alex, you don't want to be caught without a warmth, way to get warm, so to speak. Number 7, be a good idea to use a humidifier. Cold air equals dry air. Your body will thank you. That's my personal take on this. My skin, my nose especially, gets really dry when the wintertime rolls around. So I just put that in there because it does help people. Number 8, number 9 go together. Know the signs of hypothermia. If you do realize those, make sure that you take precautions when you do warm up. Make sure it's a gradual warm up and don't do it all at once. Like, don't hop in the shower. Don't throw yourself into a heated blanket just because that could shock your body. You want to gradually warm up. Signs of hypothermia: shivering, confusion, slurred speech. Also goes back to check on your neighbors during this time frame and those who are vulnerable to the cold. With that being said, that is all I have to share with you guys. I want to thank you for popping on here. Also, Alex as well joining me. If you guys got questions, we'll take a few minutes to answer those. Otherwise, that is the update. And again, just kind of recapping, it's a 4-day lake effect snow event. And also we have expectations of very cold temperatures, the coldest since 2019 for reference. So if you guys got questions, feel free to pop them in chat here. We'll answer those.
A good thing I'm seeing in the chats as well is bringing check on your animals. Make sure, along with your neighbors and the elderly and the vulnerable, our pets are the most vulnerable. So, good thing to bring up in the chat. I see as well some of the people bringing that up.
Yes, absolutely. Amanda, we talking about the cold or the snow lasting? Either way, they both last until roughly that Wednesday time frame. Next 72 hours or so will be the most impactful. The snow is going to affect the western part of Michigan and also the UP mostly, but the cold is going to affect us all, even on the east side. This isn't just for West Michigan. The cold will affect us all, but the snow will primarily affect lake effect prone areas. Yeah, the worst of the cold that I'm seeing, I mean, it's going to be pretty bitter throughout, but the worst cold looks to be centered around Tuesday. And that's when the lowest wind chills come in, -20, -45 or so, depending on the area in the state.
Yeah, lake effect prone areas, like I see Kalamazoo still, yet looking in that 3 to 8 to 7 to 15 area. Kalamazoo's kind of right on that line. as the winds continue to shift right now, initially out of the north-northwest, will eventually shift to the northwest and then west-northwest. So as the cold air continues to funnel across Lake Michigan, Lake Superior as well for the UP, but as that air continues to funnel in, the lake effect bands will continue to develop. And another thing to remember too, as it's so cold, the air is so cold that the snowflakes themselves will tend to get smaller. So when you're talking about snowflakes, temperature and moisture are two of the big things we look at for snowfall or snowflake development. So when you get this really bitterly cold air with not a lot of moisture with it, the snowflakes tend to become a lot smaller and they tend to blow around a lot more too, which creates that visibility issue. So even though you are inland of Lake Michigan, the areas that might see 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inches, over towards Lansing, Jackson, Ann Arbor, you may still see those issues with blowing snow and visibility concerns, even though you may not pick up a lot of snow at all. So that's something to keep in mind too, as Ryan had mentioned. Tomorrow and Tuesday, we could see some of those bands extend inland of the lake effect areas. So even though you might be looking at this map that shows a trace to 1 inch or 1 to 3 inches, just keep in mind that that snow can be easily blown around. So if you are traveling the next couple of days, make sure you keep that in mind as well.
And going back to that as well, I'm going to switch my screen around here really quickly to go off what Alex is saying here. This is the forecasted model into tomorrow. Really, we're seeing these lake effect bands. For a prime example is right here along 96 and 94 here from Flint over here toward the actual NWS radar there, Pontiac area. We could get those bands extending across the state tomorrow, which could, as Alex just mentioned, could lead to some travel issues and visibility issues with all the blowing and stuff going around. So this is for reference. This is 1 p.m. tomorrow here on this model. Again, the camera on your screen here is courtesy of the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. It is facing north on their building there. So basically, you're just looking at downtown Kalamazoo. It was a little bit heavier there earlier, but it has lit up there in the past couple of minutes.
Yeah, we've been getting all afternoon here in Portage, Kalamazoo, driving around since the snow started around here in Kalamazoo, at least about 1 o'clock or so. The bands have been kind of on and off where you'll get this period where it's very light snow, but then the next minute, it's typical of lake effect in bands. You'll get the really light snow and okay visibility, and then all of a sudden you'll drive a few miles up the road and boom, very poor visibility and brief heavy snow as well.
I see some questions in there for school closings. So obviously, we're not fortune tellers. We can't tell you that. Each school has their own, or each district has their own criteria to close schools. Most are -15, -20 or so. So we'll be close to that criteria. So I definitely consider that school closings will be a possibility this week for the first 3 days. But again, that's not our decision to make. Can you please tell me the lowest estimated wind chill is for Bay County? I can't read numbers on the map. So I can bring that back up here. We're going to go to Tuesday because Tuesday is going to be the worst of it. Pop that back on your screen here. So Bay County on this map right here, again, this is just a forecast model. It could vary by a few degrees. We're seeing right around -20 though, around that Tri-City area, including your Bay County area. Up in the UP though will be the worst. That's going to be closer to -40 below. Again, these are your wind chills. They're not actual air temperatures, but with our human bodies, it will feel like this outside. So that's the important thing here. The actual air temperatures across the state will likely be right around zero, if not just barely into single digits. But for low temperatures, we're looking at below zero for your air temperatures at night. So
Just
hope
to
that
give you an
answers your
idea,
question.
I just checked Iron Mountain in the UP. They have a wind chill -17 right now, I believe. So what I just checked before I jumped on stream. So
I can
already
actually,
the UP.
yeah, I can pull up RTMA here real quick if you want me to.
Yeah.
Yep. So we actually have a pretty cool feature here on our model software that we can actually pop this out and look at the real-time wind chills across the state. I'm going to take a full screen for you guys. As Alex just mentioned, up here in the western part of the UP, that's going to be your coldest over there by Ontonagon County, where you're closer to that -17, -20 degree mark. But if you notice here across much of lower Michigan, these wind chills are pushing eastward here through the evening. So the entire state by around 8, 9 o'clock tonight will be below zero for our wind chills. So you're going to stay that way for 72 hours.
Long duration.
Yep. Casey says, don't use products in your hair when it's super cold. It will snap like ice. Some good advice.
It's a good thing I don't have hair.
Yeah, for all you guys who said last year winter was terrible, this is Mother Nature's revenge, so to speak. Although I will say we have not had any significant snow events, synoptic snow, which is those big systems. All we've had this year are lake effect events. So we still need some good snowfall here across the state. But in terms of temperatures, compared to last year, this is definitely a certified Michigan
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah, more traditional winter, especially on the western side, western half of the state and the UP, it's definitely been more of a typical winter in the lake belts for sure. Others, in southeast Michigan, unfortunately, are still waiting for their first bigger snow event of the year, and more salt in the rooms, as we had made a post, I think, yesterday about the southern part of the United States, Texas to Louisiana to Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida are going to get their first big snow event of the season before Southeast Michigan gets their first big snow event of the season. So don't worry, though. We are starting to, behind the scenes take a peek at longer range, showing that there is at least several chances that Southeast Michigan could still see some chances for bigger snow later as we get into February. So this isn't us saying that, yes, you guys are going to get it, but keep your fingers crossed. Winter isn't done yet, Southeast Michigan, so we could uh, we could get lucky here.
Going off that too, I mean, the pattern throughout the month of January has been very favorable for these snow systems so far. Like we had the one a few weeks ago, I think like 2 weeks ago, that passed off into Indiana. That could have been us, and that should have been us, but we had a high pressure sitting in Canada that forced everything to our south. And then also on the models today, we're seeing a system that's going to develop just off to our south and go up the east coast as well. So we're just kind of missing these bigger systems just off to the south or to our east here. So it's just going to take one really to get our winter back on track. But so far, it's been a disappointment here. But the pattern does remain active and favorable for it.
Yep, it does. All it takes is one snowstorm.
Mm-hmm. I know the average for Detroit for snowfall is roughly right around 38 to 44 inches. And then so far this year, we've had roughly about 12 or so. So we get a good foot or so of snow twice. So two systems, I mean, that's pretty much average for Southeast Michigan.
Yep.
That's all it's going to take. And we have 2 months, 3 months left of potential of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Michigan, at least the last couple of years, has been notorious for being a little later in the season, close to February and March with some of the bigger systems. So we'll see if that ends up being this way this year as well. But
any more questions, guys, about the upcoming snow or cold? Let us know in the chat here. Otherwise, we'll pop out of here pretty soon. Just wanted to pop on here and give you guys an update. I know we posted a video like this on YouTube this morning, but again, I wanted to pop on live because a lot of you guys like to follow us live and also on Facebook as well. You guys may not see our YouTube content, but we do post videos daily over on YouTube. So feel free to go over there and subscribe if you'd like, if you prefer video form. Julie asks, who's all going to do the hot water into the air thing? I know I'm going to be doing that. We have a couple of our chasers who plan to be doing some, let's find the word here.
Right word.
Mischievous.
Okay.
We have some plans over the next couple of days here to kind of entertain you guys. So you'll see.
Yep.
But yeah, that's in the plans. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, if you boil water in these freezing temperatures coming up here, you boil a bottle of water, you go outside and you immediately throw it in the air, it will turn into a cloud. It will basically freeze instantly. Just joining in, we are in Ypsilanti. We're going to be getting a lot of snow this week. I appreciate what you guys do. Maggie, thanks for popping in here. The answer is not significant snow, but we could see some snow showers accumulating inch or two, maybe 3 if you're lucky. Should just be primarily a snow shower event. The cold will affect you, though, either way, but the snow, not really anything significant. We are seeing a potential system, Alex, I believe, at the end of this upcoming week, toward that weekend time frame that we're going to keep an eye on. I know models will kind of bounce that back and forth, but if there's going to be any big snow chances, it would probably be around that time frame. But again, that's not us saying it's going to happen. It's just you guys want to know when the snow chances are going to be there. Next one that we're going to kind of zone in on is going to be around this upcoming weekend. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. I know you look at models a lot more than I do.
I actually hadn't taken a look to see what this isn't news to me, just like everybody else that's listening to Ryan here. So I hadn't really taken a look at the models. Yeah, is that sorry for the inside baseball? Is that a Clipper or Southern Stream?
Southern.
Okay.
It's primarily on the GFS more than it is the Euro, but the ensembles are really hinting at a system here, right around that Sunday Monday timeframe.
Okay. Well, there we go. And Southern Stream too. So Jetstream is going to be retreating back after the southern United States gets hit by snow. Then I'm assuming then. All right. Well, that's good news at least for any snow lovers out there that want a chance at least of snow.
A chance is a chance at this point.
Chance is a chance. Yeah. I feel bad sitting in Kalamazoo with all the lake effect, and then you're over there, and Southeast Michigan's just wins our shot, wins our chance.
I have not had my grass covered all year in Lenawee County. I haven't, and that's a shame. Obviously, it's still we're going to say early in winter here, but usually by now you'd expect the grass to be covered, and it's just not happening this year.
Yeah.
Couple questions in here for our snow forecast. So our forecast is pinned on our Facebook page as well. I'll leave it up here for a couple of seconds for you guys to review. For Grand Rapids area, we're kind of on the line there between 3 to 8 and 7 to 15. I know it's a big spread, 3 to 15 inches. But again, these cutoffs are very, very difficult to forecast lake effect snow. So you could get as little as 3 inches, but I do think you're going to be closer to that 3 to 8 mark when all said and done, probably between the middle of the two, around the, we're going to say 5 to 8, 5 to 9 mark. That'd be probably a good guess.
Yeah.
But with these lake effect events, it's just very difficult to really pinpoint the cutoffs for these. So the closer you are to the lake shore, the higher your chances become for higher accumulations. Yeah, Christine, that area is going to be looking at the highest totals again, kind of close to the cutoff of 18 to 24. I'm going to pop the map back on here for you guys, or should I say 14 to 28 inches. But again, that area is very, very close to the cutoff point. So you could see 7 to 15 instead up there. What about St. Joseph? St. Joseph, go ahead and pop the map back up. If you guys want to review this, I'll leave it up there for like 15, 20 seconds here. Screenshot if you want to. It's also pinned on our page with our discussional forecast. But St. Joseph County is, depending on where you're at in the county, could be as little as 1 to 3, could be as much as 3 to 8 there on the very far northwestern side. So
St. Joe County is unique in that way where, especially with lake effect, usually the southern parts of the county, Sturgis to Constantine along US 12, get the least amount of snow in St. Joe County, whereas it moves up the closer you get towards the border with Kalamazoo County, so up towards Flower Field, north of Three Rivers, getting the most amount usually on northwestern side of the county. So it usually depends on where you're at. But again, with lake effect snow, it varies. Again, these wind directions will be shifting around a little bit. And so that's why we have such a wide spread, just because lake effect, that nature of lake effect is that way.
And the reason these totals are so high versus other lake effect events is because of that temperature difference. I explained it this morning in a way where a bigger difference you have between the water temperatures and your air temperatures, the bigger difference is basically more instability to fuel lake effect snow. So we're getting water temperatures here at record levels or record temperatures right around 40 degrees in spots, with our surface temperatures close to 5, 10 degrees or even lower. That's a pretty wide gap there. All right. I don't see anything else here in the chat. So we're going to wrap it up here. If you guys want to recap, the first roughly, I want to say 10 to 15 minutes of the video goes over everything in detail: timing, wind chills, snow expectations, everything you guys need to know. Feel free to scroll back, restart the video. You can rewatch it on Facebook and YouTube, so feel free to play it back as you guys need. But with that being said, I think we're going to pop out of here. Before we do, shout out to our sponsors who keep this operation we call MSC, or Michigan Storm Chasers, running. We have four of them today. We have Cats Roofing and Siding based out of Lansing, 517-485-9886. Storm Guard based out of Oakland, Macomb counties, 248-985-3239. Lifestyle Exteriors, we have 989-854-3055. They're based out of Traverse City and Lansing areas. And last but not least, we have Pro Powder out of South Haven for any powder coating needs that you guys have, 269-637-8722. And thank you to those 4 sponsors who keep operations rolling here, as what we do is not free. We have a lot of costs behind the scenes to run our softwares and all the all the nitty-gritty stuff. Our sponsors help keep us rolling here. So if you guys need their work, feel free to contact them. With that being said, we're going to pop out here. You guys stay warm, stay safe. We'll see you guys next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers.
Thanks, guys.